Brian Tatler of Diamond Head, welcome to 69 Faces of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a lovely sunny day here in Stourbridge.
Excellent. Rainy day in Chicago.
Okay, well, you can't have everything.
You
You
can't,
probably get more sunshine than we do, but we tables are turned.
I know everyone needs some balance. Well, first
Yes,
of all, congratulations on your new live album,
thank you.
Live and Electric, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell me about the live record and why now a live record?
Okay, so I mean, it's a great lineup, and it's we've had this lineup for a good, 10 years with Raz and Abs on guitar, and so it started to occur to me to it'd be good to do another live album because the last one was 20 years ago, which when we recorded the Astoria show in 2005. So we had this tour with Saxon. We were doing Europe. There was, I think we did 22 dates in Europe. And during that tour, we had a big discussion and we said we could try and record the shows and then, for a potential live album. And we've got this facility now, in this day and age where you can digitally record straight from the desk and just put it on a hard drive. So we said we could record every show at very little cost, really. Like, years ago, you'd have to hire a multi-track, machine, like a multi-track, like a van with a, what do you call it? Like the Rolling Stones
Oh,
mobile
yeah,
or
that's
something.
right.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Well, we did hire that in like 82 or something. And bands, that was all you could do. And you'd record it onto 2-inch analog tape. Whereas now you can just sort of record everything that's being recorded, the live desk. I know bands very often record the sound check, and you can play it back next day, and you can record the gig, and the front of house engineer can play that back through the PA to see. Even if the band don't turn up for a sound check, you've still got last night's performance perfectly captured digitally on this desk.
Mhm.
So we knew we had that facility, and our front of house engineer Jay Shredder said, that's what we could do. We could record every gig on this 14-date UK tour, and then at some point after the tour into next year, we'll have a listen back to them, and if they're good, then we could talk about doing a live album, and if they're not so good, then we just dump it.
Mhm.
But fortunately, they were really good, and it was just a case then of sifting through all the takes and finding ones we liked.
So when you listen back to all of those recordings, what do you think made them so special?
I think, well, partly tempo. We'd get the tempo out of the way. If they were too fast, we wouldn't use it. Um, and then just the best feel, the best performance, really. As long as the vocal was good, and there was nothing, no major mistakes or guitars out of tune and things like that, then we would just settle on what we thought that was the best performance. But also, I mean, we were only doing a 45-minute set with Saxon, so we wanted to do like maybe an hour-long live album, and we wanted to do at least 12 songs. So I think during the tour we were doing about 8 songs. So what we decided was there's 5 songs that we have to do, like Am I Evil, Helpless, The Prince, It's Electric, and Eat in the Heat of the Night. As long as we do those 5, then we have room for 3 other songs. So what we did was rotate those songs. We would put in things like Dead Reckoning, we would put in Bones, we would put in Set My Soul on Fire, we would put in Sweet and Innocent, and eventually we'd get like 12, 13 songs throughout the tour, and we'd have maybe a couple of takes of each one, and then we knew we'd got enough for a full live album then.
Yeah, you made it work. Now, when it comes to Diamond Head, where do you feel more comfortable, in studio or on stage?
I think I enjoy stage a lot. I mean, it is only the hour on stage, though. I always think a lot of the time you spent in a van, you're in a hotel room, you're in a dressing room, so that can be hard, especially as you get older. But I still enjoy the bit where you get to play in front of people. Um, but in the studio, I enjoy the creative spark where you're writing or you're creating something for the song. You might have thought of a new chord voicing or a new part to the solo. Um, but it's still, a good challenge, and it's nice to hear it back. I get a lot of satisfaction from hearing what we've recorded back and let it build up to this as perfect as it can be performance.
What really stands out for me is the vocal performance from Rasmus. I mean, he really revitalized the band since joining. In your opinion, what does he bring to the table?
He is a fantastic singer. Well, he's brought a lot of energy. I mean, he's quite a young. Well, I mean, he's been in the band over 10 years now, about 12 years. So when he joined, he was probably about 30 or something like that. And so he brought a lot of energy, a lot of new vibe to the band. And I think because he'd been listening to maybe more modern bands, he brought a bit more aggression, and his style just kind of made the band sound a little bit heavier. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's a very talented guy. He's a great writer as well, and a producer as well. So he produced the Coffin Train album and the 2020 re-recording of Lightning to the Nations, and he's a real talent. So I just liked his voice as well when I first heard him when he came up to audition. First of all, I think we sent him a backing track, and he sang on top of it and sent it back. And I thought it sounded great. I thought he made it sound easy, like he didn't struggle to hold notes, or nothing was hard work for him. So we did an audition up here in Birmingham, and he was great and agreed to do all the dates we had. We were kind of looking to replace Nick, who had emigrated to Brisbane, so we couldn't do much about that, anymore. We'd been flying Nick backwards and forwards for shows, but it became so expensive and so complicated, and a couple of times we almost missed gigs and stuff and tours because of the logistics. So we ended up deciding we needed, a guy who lives in England.
Yeah, I mean, having seen Diamond Head with Rasmus on vocals here in Chicago area, it was absolutely fantastic, even a decade ago.
Great.
Um,
That's good to know.
Now that you're also involved with Saxon, where does that leave Diamond Head in regards to any new studio recordings?
It's going to be difficult to do a new Diamond Head album because since joining Saxon in 2023, I've been focusing on that. Obviously, I had to learn the material. Then pretty much straight away, we went in to start work on a new album, which ended up being Hellfire and Damnation. So with all the dates I've done, and with all the amount of time that I have to put in, preparation and stuff for new material, and with Saxon, it's Diamond Head had to have a backseat. We've had to put it on hold. We can't be booking gigs because they may very well clash with Saxon dates, and I would have to do the Saxon date, and we would have to cancel the Diamond Head gig if they clash. So I'm focusing on Saxon. I'm really enjoying it. Diamond Head is not finished. It's just, as I say, on hold. It's just on hiatus. And who knows? I think everybody still really, really likes, doing Diamond Head. So we'll just see what's further on down the road, really.
Yeah. And how was that you were chosen for Saxon in the first place?
I think the tour helped. I think we were out with Saxon in 2022, which is where this live album comes from. We did about 22 dates in the Europe and then another 14 in the UK. So, of course, um, we got to know each other a lot better. We'd be bumping into each other backstage in dressing rooms and catering and things like that. And I think just the vibe was okay with everybody. There was no ego. They probably realised I'm a nice guy. They probably realised I can play. And I think Paul Quinn had been um, contemplating leaving Saxon for a number of years, is what I've learned. And so I think that maybe Biff had decided, okay, well, if Paul does leave, I mean, he could leave in the middle of a tour, and he probably started to think, okay, who could we get to fill in, replace Paul, stand in his shoes, and so I must have come up on the radar, and then so in 20 at the August 2022, before we did the tour, we'd already done some dates with Saxon back in 2018 and 19 and things like that. And so in August 2022, I get a call from their management. We've got the same management. So Adam Parsons calls and says, Paul Quinn has got COVID. Would you be interested in learning the set and doing this gig? They're playing Steelhouse on the weekend. And I thought, oh, yeah, great, I'll do that. And so I was flattered to be asked. And I thought it was interesting that they asked me to do it. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if Paul gets COVID again, or if Paul leaves, I wonder, would they ask me? And then if they asked me, what would I say? And so I thought about it, and I realized that if they ask me, I will say yes, because I thought it's a fantastic band. It's a very well run band. It's several rungs up the ladder from where Diamond Head is. And I just thought it would be a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic challenge. So when they did ask me, maybe 6 months later, I immediately said yes. Fantastic.
Well, definitely. First, let me say I definitely love what you do with Saxon because I'm a fan of Saxon for many, many years. But when it was announced that Paul Quinn is stepping down, I was personally convinced the guy who would replace him would be Phil Campbell because of the close Motorhead Saxon ties. So when it
Yes,
was announced it was you, I was a bit surprised. But at the same time, I'm thinking, wow, if they allow you to write, that'll give Saxon another angle
yes,
they never
yes.
had. So now my
I think,
question is,
yeah.
how much freedom do you have to contribute new music and interpret the already existing material?
Yes, a lot of freedom. They don't say you've got to learn the solos exactly the same. And the same with Doug. I think when Doug joined, he didn't have to note for note copy put Graham Oliver's solos. So I was allowed to reinterpret what Paul had already recorded and what Paul had developed live. But within reason, you have to do all the main themes. Anything like the start of 747 or advanced played on has to be pretty much like the record because that's what the fans want. That's what they're used to. But I do get a lot of freedom, and I was very flattered to be asked to contribute writing on the album Hellfire and Damnation. And we're doing exactly the same now. We're preparing material for the next Saxon album, which should come out probably end of 2026. So we're already started that process where you do home demos and things and try and get material to Biff and see which ones you like, so which ones you can work with. But yeah, yeah. I'm really happy with the arrangement within the Saxon camp.
It's so odd you're working on a new album. Whenever I see Biff, I always jokingly ask him, "So Biff, how many more records do you have in you?" And he goes, "Oh, two or three." But he said that for the last 20 years.
That's about right. Yeah, I think he's always looking forward. He's looking for the next record and the next great song.
Mhm. So now that you play songs written by Paul Quinn, how do you compare his style with what you do?
Um, I like a lot of the Saxon songs. Yeah, I mean it's great to play. I really enjoy playing the live set, and it's a very powerful, fast set. We've just been playing Wheels of Steel in its entirety, and that's fun to play as well because most of those songs are quite fast and there's a bit of punky edge to it. So yeah, it's really great to play. It's been good for my playing to have a new challenge, and I've had to spend hours and hours and hours going over the Saxon material in order to get comfortable with it, so that I knew I could go on stage and just deliver a performance and not be worried about everything. So with the Diamond Head stuff, I co-wrote every song, so it's in my blood. I only have to practice a little bit to maybe get up to performance speed. But with the Saxon stuff, I've had to learn everything from scratch, having not written any of it. So it's a different feel, but it's not a million miles away from Diamond Head. It's a similar style. I think they're both, kind of classic new wave of British heavy metal bands. Possibly both influenced by similar bands, that the obvious Zeppelins, Purple, Sabbath, etc. So it's a good choice, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
And personally, what are your favorite Saxon tracks? Not necessarily to
Yeah,
play, but to enjoy.
to play live, I really enjoy Motorcycle Man. I've always liked that song. I've always thought the way the riff, comes in and where the vocal lands, it didn't make sense to me at first. I thought, how have they done that? And I had to work out that there's one and then a two. And once I got it, I thought, okay. And you just have to be brave and just go for it. And it just all falls into place. But yeah, 747 is great as well, with the dynamics of the chorus dropping away. And yeah, Crusader's fun to play. They're all good. I honestly enjoy playing this set.
Yeah, one time I was at a sound check and I yelled out for "Just Let Me Rock," and they actually broke into it and started playing it.
Fantastic, yeah. Yeah, sometimes Biff changes the set on the day. He'll look at me and he'll go, do you know this town knows how to rock, or something, and I'll go, if I go yes, or sacrifice or something, and he'll go, okay, we'll put that in the set then tonight. So that he likes doing that, I think, freshen it up.
Definitely. How would you describe the behind the scenes machine that allows Saxon to operate so successfully? And how does it compare to what you did with Diamond Head in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, it's very professional, Saxon is. And because it's been going so long and Biff has been at the helm for such a long time, I think he's learned so much about how the business works. He's a real businessman behind the scenes, making the decisions and planning ahead. Very often you'll have a meeting, you might be on tour, but there'll be a meeting, a production meeting about the next tour, or say we're going to South America or Japan, and they'll be working on logistics of flights and hotels and crew. So yeah, it's very well organized. They don't leave much to chance. And with Diamond Head, it's a lot more hands-on. There's sometimes no crew at all, because just we can't afford to take crew with us, so we pretty much do everything ourselves, or we'd rely on a house engineer, a house lighting guy. But we would load the gear on ourselves, set it up, do the gig, pack it down, load the van, drive to a hotel, drive to a motel, something like that. So it'd be more like a splitter van with the gear in the back, compared to Saxon, which is like maybe probably a tour bus, and the crew have the gear. And yeah, it's a different world, really.
Yeah. Now, you wrote some great music in the early 80s with Diamond Head. Why do you think the big break never came?
There's lots of reasons. I think, I mean, partly luck, partly the band fell apart. We got dropped by the record label. Our management weren't professional management. They'd never done it before, so they were kind of learning on the job. But also, I mean, we didn't just stick to a style either. We didn't just, the first album is like a heavy metal album, isn't it? Likeness to the Nations.
Yeah.
But as we move on into Borrowed Time and Canterbury, we're evolving and changing all the time. And I think a lot of the fans that we'd gained in those early days when new wave British heavy metal was so popular, sort of cooled to Diamond Head a little bit. And so what we should have done is just plow on in the same way that Saxon did, or Iron Maiden, or Raven. But we didn't. We fell apart. We went and did separate projects and all sorts of things. We never toured the US. We didn't get over to the US till 2002. And even then, that was for one show. And then we didn't come back again till 2011. So we absolutely, neglected the US market. Whereas, Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, etc., made it their thing to make sure they could break through. And so, we made a lot of mistakes in the early days.
Yeah, it's a learning process, isn't it? Now, when you first heard Metallica's covers of your songs, what did you make of it?
I thought it was great. The first thing I heard, obviously, was "Am I Evil," when they put it on the B side of "Creeping Death," 12-inch single, and I thought it was a great version. It was respectful. They'd learned it really well. The solo, the vocals. I thought it was tougher and tighter than our version. A little bit faster. The fast part was faster than our fast part. But yeah, it was great. I mean, at that point in 1984, when they were on Music for Nations, I had no clue that they would become the biggest heavy metal band of all time. I had no idea. So I was just flattered that they'd covered a Diamond Head song. They were the first band ever to cover a Diamond Head song. And it was nice to be part of the experience, because I knew Lars. I'd known Lars since '81, before Metallica, and we were friends. We'd stayed pen friends, and we'd been to see bands together and things like that. So, I was still rooting for Lars. Lars's band had covered a Diamond Head song. It was nice. It was really flattering. Yeah. But I had no idea what was about to come.
Now, in the grand scheme of things, how important was Metallica's endorsement to your career?
Yeah, very, very. I think we would have gone under without that extra, fan base to tap into, and the fact that they played "Am I Evil," 760 times or something. So it's become a kind of rock classic that if you don't know anything about Diamond Head, you probably know "Am I Evil." It's the kind of thing like you'd say, do you know Diamond Head? And you go, oh, well, I've heard "Am I Evil." It's that kind of thing. You know at least one song. So that even that helps on the decision to, shall I buy a ticket to see this band, if you know one song. So I think Metallica really, really helped in that respect. They must have name checked us hundreds of times because they've never been shy about their influences. They've never been coy. They wear their influences on their sleeve, don't they? I mean, even doing a double album of purely covers is unusual, very unusual. Most bands don't do covers. I mean, how many AC/DC covers can you name? They did "Baby Please Don't Go," didn't they? Is that it? That's probably it. Maybe one song in their entire career, whereas Metallica have probably covered 50 songs. So it's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, God bless them for covering also obscure British bands like Blitzkrieg and Sweet Savage.
That's right. When it comes to Diamond Head, you are the last man standing from any of the classic lineups. What kept you going through the many highs and lows?
I just love playing the guitar, and I think it's what I do best. I never had the urge to stop or to do something else, like get a job doing, delivery driver or something like that. Uh, I just like playing the guitar, and I've played guitars in tribute bands and covers bands and whatever. As long as I'm playing the guitar, I'm okay. That's my thing. That's my I might be in my element, as they say, when I play guitar. So it'd be brilliant. It would have been brilliant if Diamond Head would have stayed together and become huge, but it didn't, and not many bands can achieve that. It's very, very rare. So I just figured, well, as long as I'm playing guitar, I don't really mind what I'm playing particularly. I just want to enjoy the ride. And I think it's a good idea to stay in the game, because you never know if an opportunity does come down the line. You're ready for it. You're not on the phone going, "Oh, I haven't played for 6 months. I've sold all my gear," and things like that. You're ready to go. I could do a gig tomorrow type thing.
That's a good opportunity to have.
Hmm.
Now, vocalist Sean Harris was a big part of Diamond Head, and he's definitely responsible for co-creating the classic sound. How would you describe Sean's musical senses?
Center.
Senses, like his musical
Oh,
feel.
um, I don't know. I've always thought he was a brilliant singer and a brilliant songwriter. Uh, I mean, it's a shame that we parted ways and all that, but I think he was influenced by the classic British blues rock singers like Robert Plant, Paul Rogers, Ian Gillan, Glenn Hughes, those kind of guys. So that comes out in his sound as well. But no, I mean, formidable talent. It's a shame that he doesn't do more. It's a shame that he doesn't release records or do gigs, and I'm not exactly sure why, because we're not in touch anymore. So I don't know what goes on in his head. I hear snippets, and I think he's done maybe a few acoustic gigs around the Midlands, but he hasn't put a record out for the last thing would have been Death and Progress, I think, in 1990, well, 1993. We did an acoustic EP with 4 songs, but there were 4 old Diamond Head songs: Heat of the Night, Ishmael, Light to the Nations, etc. And that was 2002. But that was just a self-finance thing. We did 1,000 copies, and it's a real shame that we can't get to hear his voice, and that he won't do more. I don't know what's going on there.
And what do you think made Sean finally give up on Diamond Head?
Uh, well, we just sort of drifted apart. It became so difficult he became difficult to work with. He wanted to change the name of the band as well. He didn't want to call it Diamond Head anymore. And it got to the point where nothing was happening. We couldn't book gigs. We couldn't get a deal for the record that we paid to record in 2002. And I think it was 2002. Anyway, uh, so so it became a, a choice of mine to say, right, well, shall we get another singer and just call it Diamond Head and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I was sort of fed up of doing nothing, of it being at a stalemate, at it being stuck, because Sean wouldn't do this or wouldn't do that. So it was a very frustrating time. And we looked around and we got this guy, Nick Tart, and we started rehearsing and doing gigs. And, you know, it was good. It was great. It all went very well. And Nick stayed in the band for 10 years.
Yeah. Um, Next year in 2026, it will be 50 years since you started Diamond Head. In that time, what are some of the achievements that you are proud of?
Uh, some of I'd say the albums in particular, we did 8 studio albums, and I'm very proud of all of them. Uh, but some of the gigs, some of the big gigs we've done, things like we played Reading Festival in 1982, and that was fantastic. We did 2 dates supporting AC/DC. Um, we've done tours. We opened for Black Sabbath. We opened for Megadeth. That tour in 2005 was fantastic. Um, we did the Saxon tour. We played with Black Star Riders and Europe and all sorts of things. And I enjoy the moment on stage. I think the instant feedback from the audience, when you play a song. And it's always been pretty good. I haven't got a lot of bad memories. I try and focus on the good things and what we've achieved.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah.
And now that I just reminded you of this massive anniversary, are there any plans to celebrate it?
No, at the moment, no. I know it's a big anniversary, and normally we'd have done a 50th anniversary tour or release of something. But the situation with Saxon is, I'm firmly busy doing Saxon and really enjoying it as well. So it's just a question of finding time uh, to what could we actually do, because as I said earlier, we couldn't really just book a load of dates because a Saxon date might come in and we'd end up having to disappoint people. So I don't know. Something may happen that we could do, but at the moment, everybody's doing their own thing. Carl's joined another band. Raz is doing his rock uh, rock tour with, I forget what they're called, sorry, but Abs has joined another band. So and Paul's joined another band. They're all, we're all busy doing our own things, but we all appreciate that if the right opportunity come along for Diamond Head and we all wanted to do it, we would do it.
Fantastic. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time, and good luck with Diamond Head and Saxon.
Thank you.